I'm a YouTuber without an FFL, and I just enjoy making gun content reviewing firearms. With the private sale final rule, from what I can gather, I may not be able to do that anymore.
Welcome to the Gun Owners of America podcast. I'm Kailey.
And I'm John, and today we're joined by Jake from TN Tactical. Jake, how are you today?
Hey, thank you. Feel blessed to be here.
We are so grateful that you are here. Let's go ahead and start with the backstory, how you got started into your YouTube channel, all that other fun stuff.
All right, so I started my channel back in August of 2021 with the intent of just trying to make good, solid content that I thought would be really engaging and also be really informative. Kind of like, 50% entertainment, 50% information as well. And the goal of my channel was to basically bring good, solid information on budget, sort of like budget tier items that people in my area would probably be interested in. I see a lot of gun content out there that's like, high tier, fast paced operator kind of stuff that's really expensive. And I feel like there was sort of a lack of budget friendly content that was still high quality. So I've made a couple YouTube channels before and have gotten a pretty good amount of experience editing. So I took that and sort of made like a budget version of like Grand Thumb and Honest Outlaw. Like essentially that's why I do like cinematic intros and stuff at the beginning of my videos, because I really enjoy that. But I also try to put a lot of information like some of these other guys do that, they've been around a lot longer than I have. The main focus, though, has always been budget-friendly firearms, budget-friendly optics, red dots, lasers, all that good stuff that people can afford. Because honestly, I feel like when you buy something, you're looking for YouTube reviews. And I feel like there's sometimes, typically you'll see like maybe a tabletop review showing something off. And then they're saying, yeah, it's great. Thank you for sending this out to us. But I took it a step further, and when I started getting stuff from different companies, I started breaking it. I started really drop testing stuff because I feel like when it comes to budget quality items, you don't see a lot of that stuff. And that's kind of like a void that I think I've started to fill. We started drop testing a whole bunch of pistol red dots. We really started putting things through their paces because I think, and it's probably going to be the same for the audience, they want to know, like, are they getting the best bang for their buck, pun intended.
Yeah.
That's why we do those kind of videos. That's why we do torture tests. That's why we review budget-friendly items, because we want to take that sort of category to the next level, because we need to know, you don't want to waste money. I don't think anyone does. And that's kind of where we've grown from there. We've gone and done firearms reviews, like I said, optics reviews, and occasionally, as you know, we typically do ammo tests and things like that as well. So
when I first met you, your channel was at 800 subs. And I was like, this guy's interesting. I gotta take a look at this guy. Let me see. You reached out to me via email, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a flyer on this. Let's go. I think he. And that's the thing with the industry. A lot of people are scared to ask because they're scared to get the answer no. And that's one thing everybody has to overcome is the answer no. And you sent me a very well written email, and I was like, you know what? Let's do this. So I sent you out some self-defense ammo, and you were like, okay, let's do this thing. The video comes out, and you're wearing a lab coat, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I was like, oh my, this guy's got it. He's got the humor. He's messing around. He's having fun. I think there was a chicken or something somewhere.
Yeah, we have chickens.
There's chicken. So, it was a breath of fresh air to see somebody who could take themselves, who could be serious, but also have a funnier side. And I applaud you for that, because now you're almost at 10,000 subs. You've really grown. I'm really proud to see you grow.
Appreciate it.
And that just shows, YouTube is a grind. At first you're like, oh, this is going slow. I'm putting all this time into it. And then all of a sudden you start growing. And you're like, wow, this is cool. People really want to watch this. And you've touched a lot of people, especially in that budget space. A lot money is tight right now. And to touch that area, a lot of people who go to watch those videos know that this is me taking my self-protection in my hands, and I want the best bang that I can get for my buck, because you got to stretch a dollar. Mm-hmm. We've seen gas go up, we've seen everything go up with inflation. You're trying to make your dollar stretch, and I applaud you for focusing on that area, because that's a way to get your dollar to stretch a little more and get more bang for your buck.
Yeah, and that's kind of been our main area of focus. It's almost like a Venn diagram. So I think my target audience really appreciates both budget-friendly stuff and new stuff. So if I can ever find anything where those two areas, those two circles overlap, that's usually like a guaranteed hit. So that's what we really go for. PSA Dagger has been huge for us on the channel. I mean, PSA is good quality stuff. They've really come along. And so with that Venn diagram in mind, it's been a big hit. Like I can almost guarantee every time I do one of those videos, it's going to get thousands of views. Hopefully when the channel grows, it'll get maybe tens of thousands. And,
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I applaud you for is knowing who your audience is and just kind of where the country's at. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people who love guns. It comes with the territory of my job. I don't know anyone who isn't like, things are a little tighter this year than they were even 6 months ago. And I think that is true for everyone in the country. And especially as we continue to see new gun owners join the Second Amendment community, that first investment that you make isn't just what an average gun owner would make. You know, we generally have some ammo. We have, we can change the optic from one gun to the other. Like we can make a new gun work if that's what we want to use as our new concealed carry gun. If you're a first time gun owner, you're making quite the investment because you have to buy everything. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's really, really exciting. I also think knowing that you're from East Tennessee, we're not an affluent part of the country. And I can say that I was born and raised here. Okay, fine. I was born in Middle Tennessee, but don't hold that against me. But, I grew up in East Tennessee and, I didn't see a lot of kids in my high school, driving luxury cars with daddy's money. We're a hardworking, mostly agrarian or manufacturing part of the country. Mm-hmm. We are the hillbillies, like, and that's fine, and that's cool. And so knowing who you are and what you're representing and who you're representing and being authentic to that, I think will serve everyone well.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We always see on the channel whenever we're drop testing stuff, like we're poor. We would never do this kind of stuff with our own stuff because we don't have enough money to buy everything and drop test everything ourselves. So whenever we do have companies that reach out to us, say, hey, we want to send this out to you to do a review on, it really helps. It really does help because, I mean, it's just, I get it. I didn't grow up rich or anything like that. I don't think most of us ever did in East Tennessee. We really, like you said, we really need to make our dollar stretch, especially with the inflation stuff kicking off right now. Every bit of information counts to helping us spend our dollars wisely.
So that's well said, first off, and I applaud you for doing that. So when we announced goals, which is the Gun Owners Advocacy and Leadership Summit happening August 17th and 18th in Knoxville, Tennessee. Shameless plug there for the convention. When we first announced goals, you were like the third person to put in a media request. It was that quick. You were like, yeah, hey, done, in.
Yes.
So what's it mean to you to have a convention in East Tennessee and you jumped on it super early?
So there's a few things about that. Number one is I do treat my channel as a hobby, but it's also business first. So with that comes in, time. I try to make sure that I am taking advantage of every opportunity to try and get in on these kinds of events. I think it's very important. So I'm not going to sit on an email and wait, maybe I should go, maybe I shouldn't. No, I'm planning on going because, again, I treat it as a very important event. Any opportunity to get exposure, to just be out there, to get experience in the industry, I think is more important than anything else. I don't even necessarily care about making money or anything like that. Like I said, I'm poor. I'm not afraid to be poor. But I do love what I do. I love making content. I love having the opportunity to film stuff, to try stuff. And for me, that's the core value, the core foundation of why I make YouTube videos. That's why I jumped on that. That's why as soon as I saw it, I was like the third person to email you guys. I also went to the PSA gathering and met with the GOA rep there, and I signed up again probably there too, because I love any opportunity, especially around our area. I love any opportunity given to just, try stuff out, get with GOA, get a chance to kind of like be there with you guys.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I think the community appreciates that, because we've been asked a lot for a convention. This has been years in the making, which puts a significant amount of pressure on us, because I truly love what our membership does. And I constantly say this. My staff hears it at least weekly. Our members are the best in the world. And I don't want there to be a barrier for entry for you to start advocating for your rights. In fact, you can go and not even be a member of GOA and send a message to your legislator. Our membership, if you're not using a discount code, is $25. And if you are, link in the description, it's $20, right? It's right now, you can't even go to McDonald's and for $20. I mean, truthfully, but it's so important that we have skin in the game, that we fight for our rights, that we get educated. And that's why we've kept our membership so low. We're not interested in, I mean, if you want to give us more money, we'll use it to fight, right? Like I'm not stupid. You can definitely, as much as you're able to fund the fight. But when you're looking at the state of America right now, especially, I want the Second Amendment community to see the power behind GOA members. And I want people to be able to join and renew their memberships and not feel like, well, I was gonna eat this week, but I guess I'll give my money here. I want it to be accessible, and that's something that our founder, laid the groundwork for, and that's why we get to do what we do. And in times of low inflation, when people have extra spending money, we'll see people give more, and when they don't, they don't. And as long as you're in the fight, and even if you don't have an extra dollar to your name, go send an email. It's free. And we make it free because it's important to us that you participate in whatever level that is.
I feel like Gun Owners of America, you guys are really pushing the envelope, really fighting for our rights. There's a lot of organizations out there, but I feel like you guys are one of the most prominent groups that are actually making a difference in all regards. I mean, look at the pistol brace thing. You guys filed those lawsuits on there. Every step of the way, every time the ATF has basically done something that, let's be honest, they always are doing something. Y'all have been there as sort of like the first line of defense against all that. So I just want to say I really appreciate you guys and all of GOA for doing that.
Well, thank you. It's incredible how cunning the ATF, the bureaucracies, even the political class can be sometimes with attacking our rights, with destroying the Second Amendment. We see that with assault weapons bans. We see that with magazine capacity. We see that with removing hunter education from schools. And, the ATF is not our friends, right? I think any gun owner can look at that and be like, nope, they're not our friends. But people kind of get shocked, or we'll get some messages being like, hey, why are we sending emails to the Department of the Interior? And it's like, well, they're trying to bed land ammo on public lands. And they're like, what? And it's like, yeah, like they're not, it's not a one, it's not a clear battlefield where it's just one adversary attacking the Second Amendment. It's a multifaceted attack. They're very smart about it. And I think that GOA members constantly being willing and able and educated and persistent in fighting for our rights have given our success. We are nothing without our members. We are a grassroots gun lobby. We will always be a grassroots gun lobby. We have lobbyists. They're great. We have a legal team. They are incredible. Would I want to do either one of those jobs? I'm good. Thank you. But, I'm happy to be a part in my little corner of the organization to help further the fight. And I tell people all the time, I will never ask you to do something I'm not willing to do. And I'm sending emails right alongside you. I'm calling my representatives right alongside you. If you made it to the Tennessee lobby day, you saw me in person until the tornadoes hit. I got a call from my babysitter. It was like, hey, can you come get your kid? So then I left a couple hours early, but I'm there and I love participating in those events. And I would never ask anyone to do something that I myself am not willing to.
Yeah. Yeah, the ATF is doing a lot of funny business, and that's really why I'm excited to talk to you guys today, because of what they've recently come out with is this whole thing with private sales, the final rule, if you will, of private sales. And I've seen a couple of videos out there from like Jared from Guns and Gadgets when he put that whole thing out there covering it. And I looked and did some more research with armed attorneys and, did my own research as well. And you got to keep in mind, I'm a YouTuber without an FFL, and I just enjoy making gun content reviewing firearms. With the private sale final rule, from what I can gather, I may not be able to do that anymore because of the issue where, according to the private sales final rule, you buy a gun, let's say you buy it new like I do, and then you maybe make a few videos. Well, just going back, turning around and selling it, that apparently is now a problem, even though, let's be honest, I mean, if I'm buying a gun new and then selling it used, I'm never making a profit. Like, I don't have any intention of making a profit. And that's what's really weird about it, is that the whole final rule about private sale is about the intention, which is very subjective, the intention of making a profit. It doesn't make sense. So for me, as a small YouTuber, a reviewer, an influencer, I hate that word, but puts me in a weird spot, like a weird gray area, because how are they going to treat what I do? Now, my understanding is I have, looked at it, and apparently just even one sale will count towards you having to have an FFL now. But that doesn't, like they say occasionally, like if you sell a gun occasionally, what does that mean? They haven't really defined what occasionally means.
So here's the thing with everything that the government does. They intentionally make it as vague as possible. I think, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion. And, it's there to be a restriction on the Second Amendment. We have already publicly declared we are going to file suit. Surprise, surprise. GOA is going to file another lawsuit. I know everyone in the comments are like, I'm so shocked. But no, we are going to be fighting this, and it's an important fight, because these sort of rules that drastically change what qualifies, what is legal, what is not legal, it has real ramifications, not just for those who are in the public space with a YouTube channel, but just individuals that may fall on hard times and need to sell something, or have used firearms as that investment piece. Let's be honest, if you have an 86 machine gun, it's worth a whole heck of a lot more money now than whenever you purchased it.
Yeah, I wish I had one.
And that's the truth with so many firearms, is they can be appreciating values, especially when regulations and rules change, like we saw with the 86 Act, that, if you had a pre-86 that was grandfathered in, that instantly made the firearms worth more money, and they continue to be worth more money every single day.
Well, it's funny. It's not, machine gun prices is astronomical, first off, which they shouldn't be. It should be cheap to own a machine gun. We should all own machine guns. Hashtag repeal the NFA.
Absolutely.
But just think about the number of people in the 80s, and this is making everybody sound old, that bought crates of SKSs.
Oh, yeah.
And crates of Mosins. They were $80. Mm-hmm. Has anybody recently looked at the price of an SKS?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
They're like $400 or $500 now, and climbing. Depending on the variant, if it's a Russian, it's even worth more. So now I'm making money on an like you said, an investment piece. And I've been big into the surplus game since I started getting into firearms, because I knew that, first off, when they come to the country, they're cheap and you can get them cheap. And as time goes on, the price of them inflate as the supply dwindles. And they're investments, because the same thought process is, as the supply dwindles, there's less on the market, the price goes up. Supply and demand, right? The other thing, people don't understand, or maybe there's a misnomer that if you're doing YouTube, you're making millions of dollars, and no, you're not making anything. And for especially a small-time YouTuber or a smaller channel, you are selling that gun to invest back into your channel to get the next gun. This could hurt a lot of the smaller channels, because they get not everybody gets things for free from the industry. It is hard. It is relationship built. You build a lot of relationships with people, and then you get T&E. And as time goes on, you have to sell off stuff to help supply the channel. Ammo's not cheap. Guns aren't cheap. The film, the time, everything. I mean, if you were to consider the cost of what it makes to make a YouTube video, it could be $2,000-$3,000 in theoretical cost, because your time is still worth something, and you have to get back your investment. If this were to go unchallenged, and we know that we are going to sue it, but if this were to go unchallenged, how many of the 0 to 50,000 subscriber YouTube channels are just going to disappear? How many more voices are we going to lose because they just can't afford to keep their channel running? I mean, that is, the number in my head is astronomical. I mean, we've seen a lot of people starting getting YouTube, and we always encourage people to get in front of the camera and talk and spread your message and your word and what you think and your journey in the Second Amendment. But there is a chance that we're going to see, and how many people watch because they find you entertaining. They find the content thing. Not everybody wants to watch the Hickoks of the world and the other guys. They want to. You watch multiple videos. If you ever tried to buy a gun, I watch 10 videos maybe before I make a decision.
Me too, yeah.
And it's everything from Hickok 45 down to TN Tactical, down to Ghost Tactical, who's been on with us, down to Clover Tactical, who's a good friend, down to Tactical Considerations and Tactical Toolbox.
All the
Why
tacticals.
are there so many tacticals? I'm just realizing this.
Well, I did T in tactical because it kind of T in tactical, same letter.
So many tacticals in this, but we lose a aspect of our Second Amendment.
I think it goes beyond just those people who are advocating on the large scale for people to join the Second Amendment community and are giving confidence for purchasing or reviews. I think this goes far beyond that, and the most pressing issue is if you are a parent or someone or a neighbor or, a community member and someone is in, serious trouble and they can't afford a firearm, but, they have a stalker, or if there is somebody who is trying to defend their family and they live in the rough part of town and they just don't have any money left in the budget, and you say, hey, I'll sell it to you for $100, and you're making a loss on that, but just that purchase can cause substantial harm. And how many victims will become victims because they were unable to purchase at a price? Because let's be honest, as great as our fellow Second Amendment advocates are at the gun stores, they can't afford to sell a used gun or a new gun for $100 or what someone can pay to be able to protect themselves. Those kind of transactions solely rely on kind-hearted gun owners that see somebody in need and is willing to offer and train them and get them started so that they have something to protect themselves. We see so many domestic violence stories where they are constantly having to defend themselves against their attacker. And, I kind of go back to the story from Carrie who runs We the Female. The day that she got her firearm was the day that she became truly empowered. And she knew that horrible injustice that she was served was no longer going to happen to her because she was carrying. And now she's gone on and started a whole nonprofit and is on this whole campaign to arm the women. And that's fantastic. And I love those stories, but I do wonder how many people in that situation can even afford to go into the gun store and make that purchase for themselves. Probably not many, because how many abusive situations start off financially first?
Well, first off, well said, and a great point. Not that is something that is very overlooked. But the other thing that I'm sitting here thinking while you're talking and trying to figure out where to go, and what if I get a T&E? What if I get a gift, or somebody has passed away and I received a collection, and I go, or let's just say somebody passed away and the wife is not very comfortable with guns in the house. We see it all the time at a lot of things. We're working at a gun store, somebody passes away and the wife just is like, hey, I have the one I want to get rid of the rest of these. She didn't buy those. That's profit to her. How does that affect that widow? How does it affect, let's just say your lovely husband, Matt, gets you a gift and you go, yeah, I don't like pink guns, Matt. He should know better. Sorry, but let's just say you don't like it. And then now you sell it to get what you want. Now you're liable. You're making a profit on it. It's crazy how many things this is going to encompass and how many people it's going to affect.
And one thing I want to bring up is this all targets the seller. It doesn't really target the buyers. The whole idea was supposed to be to, keep guns from getting in criminals' hands, right? That was, I guess, the initial idea at least. And this only affects the sellers. Buyers are not liable with this final rule at all. They're completely out of the mix for this. It's only affecting sellers. So with that in mind, think about gun buybacks. Think about you as a gun owner, and let's say for some crazy reason you're like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and turn in gun XYZ and get that gift card or whatever they're going to give you. Well, that's an exchange. You are technically selling it to a gun buyback. Are you going to be held accountable for that as well?
There's so many implications to this. And I believe that's why they make these so vague, is so that they can come back later and take more and take more and take more. And we see this in other applications. I think probably one of the best examples of that is with the importation laws and the for sporting purposes. And they have been able to redefine and, wiggle and maneuver so well to stop us from being able to import firearms, limiting the choice of everyday Americans. And I think that they like keeping a certain amount of vagueness so that they can do more and more and more. And I think that's why they've used it as like engaged in business. Well, what does that even mean? I think that if you go out and you survey a whole bunch of people, everyone's going to have a different version of what that means. And I think that vagueness is intentional. And I think it's something that should perk everyone's ears up when they hear that, because you might think, well, I don't sell my guns. I buy them and I keep them forever. Okay. But this whole apathy that can exist because this doesn't affect me, or I don't perceive that it affects me, doesn't stop it from actually affecting you.
And I will say this too. Whether you're doing YouTube or not doesn't matter. You're going to find a gun that you buy at some point, and you're going to realize, oh, wait, I really don't like the way this gun feels in my hand. I don't like the way it shoots. Maybe the high over bore or whatever is off or something. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of different reasons why someone may end up wanting to get rid of a gun with no intention to make profit. I mean, that's happened to me a few times since doing the channel. I've had a handful of guns that I just did not like, and I got rid of them at a loss. But anybody could be in that same situation.
Yeah. Or you want to upgrade.
Yeah.
Or, not everyone has massive amounts of disposable income where they can, not trade something in to get something else.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's been guns that I've bought and regretted. I mean, that Derringer was a very dumb idea, and honey, you were right. But it's the same thing. Like, you're absolutely right. There are guns that you are like, this is the greatest whiz bang thing ever. Everybody keeps telling me I should buy it, and then you buy it, and then you start shooting, and you're like, this is not my cup of tea. And then you hold on to it because you're like, I got to figure out how to make this my cup of tea. And then you finally go, it's like stages of grief. When you buy a gun, you're like, I got acceptance, and then I'm denial, and then I got to get rid of it. So it's you brought up for sporting purposes, and it's true. They want to keep it vague. They want to keep certain things. I mean, we've talked with importers. There are so many cool things coming out of Europe. A lot of people don't think Europe, the gun market in Europe is very big, but it is a very large in countries that are not called Great Britain. And we've talked to like Chase from EAA, and we talked to Jake from SAR, and they were like, yeah, I would love to bring in, he's like, we go to EWA, I'd love to bring in all these cool things I see. But there's this for sporting purpose clause, or there's the number, it doesn't hit the right numbers. We don't have on a handgun, we don't have the numbers, or we can't get enough 922 R compliant parts in the state to make it importable. They just like to keep it vague because then there's so many questions. And then you question things, and then you don't do what you need to do. You can't import that gun. You can't get rid of guns that you don't like. You can't trade or do anything because it's so vague that you're so worried. As gun owners are law-abiding citizens, we are very to the T of the law, and we are scared to break said law.
I think gun owners probably know the law better than most average everyday Americans, to be honest with you, because we are concerned about following the law. But we know who doesn't follow the law: criminals. And they're supposed to be targeting that group of people to, supposedly lower gun crime and stuff, which, those statistics are a little bit skewed in the first place, but,
Well, I think that's a really good point, because we've seen a attack on gun owners like we've never seen before. because criminals don't obey the law. That is their defining characteristic. And so when you do something as overarching and as sweeping as, I don't know, making 40 million Americans felons overnight because you decide to redefine something that you previously said was legal, I don't know where we've seen an example like that. I don't know, maybe the pistol brace ban just recently. What are you doing to public perception? It's a very pointed attack, because if you make someone a felon, I think we could all agree felons are criminals. And so why would we characterize something that like a firearm and make the firearm illegal and turn everyone into felons if we weren't trying to have a public why would we do that? Why would we attack gun owners like that if we weren't trying to change public perception? And we were not trying to go after a group of people that are law-abiding, that want the best for our country, that want to protect them and their family. Why would they choose that if they weren't trying to hurt people and change the perception of gun owners and ultimately gain more control? And that isn't me putting on a tinfoil hat. That's just me looking at what's going on in the world and saying, that was quite the PR campaign. I mean, if we're honest.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, what's a better narrative than 40 million felons, gun owners, 40 million gun owners are felons? Mm-hmm. What's that statistic look like? How does that play out in the narrative on the big network television news places like CNN and MSNBC and all that?
Oh, they'd have a field day with it.
They have a field day. Mm-hmm. But hold on. I got to make sure my tinfoil hat's not on. We're good. But it is. You're absolutely right. It's a narrative that they can play with. And I'm proud of our legal team, and I'm proud of GOA members for supporting and fighting so we can get the injunction.
Yeah. And the other thing on that, and this is something that I will constantly say, is don't give up fighting legislatively and in the comment section of rules, whether that is for your representatives or for the ATF or the Department of Interior, whatever it is that we're emailing you on or that we're talking about on a podcast, because it has significant ramifications. And I can prove that, because when we show gun owners don't want the pistol brace rule, and then that triggers us to be able to go to Congress and say, we need a Congressional Review Act. And then we ram the Congressional Review Act through and it passes bipartisan in the House. What does that do to the legal argument of the ATF?
Mm-hmm. And going back to the pistol brace rule. So I think this new one with the private sales is actually worse. And the reason why is because the pistol brace, granted, I think any rule or law against gun rights is unconstitutional, but the pistol brace is a piece of plastic. It's something tangible. It's something that, you could be like, okay, let's remove it and, put it somewhere else in a different location or destroy it or whatever. That's tangible. This new rule, the private sales final rule, is intangible. It's subjective. That's the key. It's kind of at their own whim of whoever is looking over your case or whatever. It's up to their opinion, that they may have about firearms and rights and stuff like that. So that leaves a huge gray area for everyone.
I think that's the scariest part about this. And Kailey coined the term ATF's war on plastic, and we talk about how they've gone after this the Pandora box goes back to when the bump stocks got banned. Mm-hmm. That is what opened Pandora's box, because they could look at tangible items like accessories and go after them. And they could make rules based on nothing. They could change their mind like somebody changes their underwear every day. But with this, the gray is so wide and broadening that you're gonna discourage people from buying guns and discourage people from selling their firearms so they can do stuff.
In my opinion, this is the ATF's attempt to make firearms a liability versus an asset. How many of us across the U.S. that have purchased firearms, kept them in a safe with the hopes of receiving, of our grandkids receiving the firearms? I mean, I know from, personal experience, when you get handed down firearms from, your grandfather or your father, like those family heirlooms mean a lot, whether they are worth more money than they weren't. But I think there's a huge amount of people who would be very fearful of, that liability in their home. And this takes the liability outside of the safety, which we all know that we're in control of our firearms. We know what happens to them. A gun has never gone off without somebody pulling the trigger in our homes, right? And thankfully, right, they're inanimate objects. But, I think there's a huge push for people to view firearms as a liability. And that would be devastating to the Second Amendment community.
And they're trying to force everyone to get an FFL, which makes, absolutely no sense, of course. I know there's going to be some people in the comments that are going to say, oh, well, if you're doing YouTube, you should have an FFL. And if you're one of those people that say that, I would have to disagree with you. It's a God-given right, at least in this country it is. You shouldn't have to have an FFL because you want to make videos showing off or reviewing firearms.
I have the pleasure of knowing, many YouTubers that, this is their hobby. It's their passion project. They don't really care if they make any money off of it. They love their career and they really don't want it to become their full-time jobs. And they're doing it just hoping that they meet a need that they saw an opening to meet. And I think that there's a lot of things that happen when you have to open up a business side, and there's all kinds of legal things. And the great part about Rumble and YouTube is you don't have to have a business license to post videos. You don't have to have those hoops to jump through, and therefore it is one of the few mediums left where anyone can feel like they can start at any time.
Well, I like where you're going. I love everything. But I've been thinking about this point this whole time. They want us to all be FFLs. The logistical nightmare of just that. Think about it, though. How many more ATF agents would they have to hire on if we were all...
It's almost like... And maybe this is me putting my tinfoil hat on. So, disclaimer, this is Kailey's personal opinion and not reflective of the organization. But isn't it just funny that we're getting this at the same time as, I don't know, a certain zero tolerance policy?
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. But here's the other thing. If now I have to be an FFL, right? To own, purchase, and run and sell my firearms because I'm a law-abiding citizen, I'm going to follow the letter of the law. What can the ATF do when you have an FFL? They can go and check you. Mm-hmm. Now, I feel like they're going after my Fourth Amendment rights to come into my home to check.
Plus, everything is going to be in a bound book. Every serial number, everything.
Also, they're trying to do away with home-based FFLs and force you to have a brick-and-mortar business established.
That's fumble on the play. That's insanity. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't afford a commercial space. I can't afford to rent a commercial space. Heck, if I can't even afford to build a shed to say that it's a commercial space, and make it a separate business address. It's insanity that they are going this far. I mean, you're looking at their budget inflating 20-fold to cover all this, to hire the amount of people they need to hire.
And thank the Lord, we actually just got a budget cut for them.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long time, and I'm hoping we'll see many more down the line. But no, I think, there's so many attacks on FFLs right now. To add all of these people into it is administratively it just blows my mind a little bit. And so, like most government ideas, I think they're mostly half baked. But again, personal opinion. There's a lot of personal opinions in the show. None of the show, actually, that's a good idea. I think so much of this right now we're going to see play out in the courts, right? We can all speculate. This show is not legal advice. We are not attorneys. We do not claim to be attorneys. We do not play attorneys on YouTube or any other, any other platform that you may be listening to this on. We're everyday citizens talking about the Second Amendment and our fears on how this may impact us. And, our attorneys will be posting plenty of articles. They will be breaking down the legal arguments. And we have shows dedicated to bringing, just the facts. But when you sit back and you speculate of all of the potential downfalls of this rule, I think it's very scary. And I think that these are the moments where, if you're not involved in these fights, join GOA. I work for GOA because I believe we are the best organization. I love our attorneys, and they are fantastic at what they do, and they have fought at every level and won successfully. And so, if you're not a member, please join. I mean, if you didn't think your membership was worth it before you saw that, sometimes injunctions, even if you ask for a national injunction on something, you get one just to cover your members. And so it's better to be safe than sorry. And, we're dedicated to this fight. We will continue to be putting out more content on it. I don't want to get too far down the road on speculation.
Yeah, because if we get too far down the road of speculation, people will say our tinfoil hats are on. So I don't want to go down there. But I'm getting the wrap-up sign from our producer over there. Thank you, Alex, for that. Let's go ahead and wrap up. Jake, where can people find you on the interwebs?
So our biggest presence is obviously going to be on YouTube, TN Tactical. Look us up. We also have a small Instagram following and a Facebook page. Of course, I'm a little bit of a boomer, so I'm just now figuring out how to work IG. So check us out if you're looking for budget-friendly firearm reviews, and if you like watching budget red dots being dropped on concrete, we've got stuff for you.
Jake, thank you again for making the 2-hour drive to come join us. Guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell for notification. Leave a 5-star review on all podcasting hosts. Make sure to go to goals.gunowners.org to sign up for the GOA's first convention being held in Knoxville, Tennessee, August 17th and 18th. And thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.